told me. I'm one of four sisters. There's my older sister, Kathy, and the twins, Debbie and Joy. And me, Stacy, stuck right in the middle. We were all born within a few years of each other, and honestly, I think my parents had trouble coping with so many little kids running around the house. When I was 4 or 5, my mom started to define us, and not in a good way. Kathy was the pretty one, I was the smart one, and the twins were special. As we got older, it only got more intense. My mom would always tell me that the world is harder on smart girls, so I should expect to fight for everything I wanted. You'll be a scientist and make a big discovery. No, Mama, I want to be a pilot one day. That would be a huge waste of time. The world has plenty of pilots. My mom would then predict the absolute opposite future for my sister Kathy. She would tell Kathy over and over how much the world loves a pretty girl. High school years were the worst. Kathy easily fell in with the cool crowd, and everything was working out for her pretty much as my mom had said. But not for me. Not so much. In the beginning, the smart kids let me hang with them, but after a while, I couldn't keep up. I mean, physics is just not my thing. Dissecting little animals in biology freaked me out, and I had no idea what Shakespeare was talking about most of the time. The smart kids figured out the truth and quit hanging out with me. It turns out that I wasn't any smarter than most of the kids in my class. I had to study really hard to ace a test and work long hours into the night on my homework. It didn't help that Kathy told all of her girlfriends that I was the smart one, and they started asking me to do their homework. At first, I said no, but these were mean girls on top of being popular girls, and they spread a nasty rumor about me. Even my sister spread the rumor around just to make me do her homework. The other kids believed the rumor, and I either got teased or ignored. High school is hard enough without that kind of pressure. I caved. I started doing my sister's homework and special project homework for her friends. They went around school and started taking back the rumor. It worked, and kids no longer whispered behind my back, but I still had no friends at all. It made me think that my mom had been right. My life was hard, and Kathy's was pretty sweet. But it also confused me because I wasn't off the charts smart, just your normal above-average student. The truly crazy smart kids weren't having a hard life. They were all looking at futures with fancy colleges and great jobs. I would just sit in my room and just get so angry about how unfair everything seemed. I tried. I really tried to be happy, but I wasn't. I was just lonely and overwhelmed. I tried to talk to my mother about it. I explained that I didn't feel that smart, and yet everyone was expecting me to perform at this really high academic level. I asked her if we couldn't bring those expectations down a notch because I felt like I was drowning. My mom barely heard me, and she certainly didn't understand. Oh, Stacy, I told you. I told you that your life would be hard because of your intellect. Just be patient. Things will get better when you're a grown-up. Don't you get it? I'm not super smart. The future you keep talking about isn't mine. Her eyes narrowed. She got really angry and grounded me for 2 weeks because I raised my voice. I never tried to talk to her about my troubles again, but I had to do something. My sister and her friends kept loading their homework onto my pile. I felt like I never slept, and I had big, dark bags under my eyes to prove it. To make matters even worse, my twin sisters were now in high school with Kathy and me. Whenever they got stuck on something in their homework, they'd go to Mom and ask for her help. Go ask Stacy to help you. She's the smart one. So they did. And I'd always help them because it was expected of me. I would always help them, even if it meant staying up really late to finish my own work, because that's what sisters do. One day, my dad was out working in the garage on one of his vintage cars. I slid onto a stool and watched him fiddle with the engine. Finally, I asked my big question. Dad, do you think I'm smart? Really, really smart? Sure, Stacy. You're the smart one. You solved that puzzle before your sisters even got started when you were 5. You've always been the smart one. I literally jumped off the stool. What? All of this smart one stuff because I solved a puzzle when I was 5? He looked at me for the first time, surprised, I guess, that I didn't know the puzzle story. Well, yeah, Stacy. That's when your mom figured out how smart you are. I stood there, stunned. All the pain and struggle of the past few years flooded through me. I ran out of the garage straight to my room and fell on my bed, crying. I wasn't super smart. My parents were super stupid. Okay, that's harsh, but still, my whole life had been shaped because of some silly kids puzzle. I changed that day. The next day, the twins came to my room with a project they wanted me to do for them at the last minute. Nope, I'm going to bed. They looked at me in shock, and then, "You can't go to bed," the other twin finished her sentence, "because we'll fail the class if you don't help us." I walked over and turned out the lights and crawled into bed. They went crazy and started jumping on me. "Get up! Get up! You can't do this to us!" "Watch me." The twins were furious and stormed out of the room. I heard them complaining to my mother, and she came into my room a few minutes later to take their side. "What's wrong with you, Stacy? Get up and help your sisters. They're your sisters and deserve your help. This is no time to be selfish and lazy." I ignored her too and dug deeper into the blankets. She finally left and slammed the door. I just lay there breathing heavily. It was scary to say no, but I'd done it. The twins barely spoke to me after that, just because I wouldn't do their homework. My mom never stood up for me, ever. Pretty much the same thing happened when I turned on my sister and her friends.